Welcome, everybody, to this Friday's podcast. We are Our Sister's House, and Our Sister's House is a domestic violence agency organization. And if you or anyone you know is experiencing domestic violence, please contact Our Sister's House at 253 383 4275 or visit our website at oursistershouse.com. We also have our all I events starting off this evening with trivia, and tomorrow there will be photos with Black Santa at the office. Check out our Facebook event or social media posts to register as soon as possible. There is still time. We are doing 2 weekends of events. So, with this podcast, we are going to be talking about the Turpin family. We all have watched the documentary on Hulu here, and we just want to get into that. It is a family of 13, and they were being abused by their mother and father. Anyone like to start off?
Yeah. So the I kind of want to start the conversation with the parents because the what had happened with their 13 children was the result of like their lifetime of cycle of violences and also their own choices as people, because we all have a responsibility of the way that we you know go about handling our um, experiences and things, but I also want to recognize that it is a generation's worth of cycles of violence that um, does not start with just the parents and the kids. They in the research I've done, a lot of it um, with the mother Louise Turpin. Her maiden name is Robinette, Louise Robinette. Um, her childhood experience was riddled with um, sexual trafficking between her and her grandfather through the consent of her mother. Her mother would take her daughters to go visit with their grandfather, and he would slip money, and that was his justification for what he was doing. Um, and it also like that was a result of their like Louise and her sisters' his mother. um, she when she grew up was also um, being um, molested and dealing with her father throughout her entire childhood experience. So the entire family, the way that their family dynamic was set up was through secrecy, and it was. I apologize if you can hear my cats in the background. But their entire family was built upon secrecy, and like what happens in the family stays in the family, especially because the grandfather was like he had all the money of the family, he provided for everyone. Like there was those survival reasonings that just trapped the whole cycle of violence within the family. And we can see that play out from the grandfather to his daughter, from her becoming a mother to Louise Robinette and her sisters, and then Louise going on and um, having 13 children and severely abusing them as well. Um, I don't know if anyone else wants to jump in and also explain some more.
What really threw me about the entire situation was that what was an eye opener for me, a point that was made was the mom homeschooled all of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're saying people should start to look into that more because it could be something that they're trying to hide. Like, why do you want your kids to be home with you all the time? Why can't they come outside? Just to ensure that everyone in the home is being treated, you know, and not treated well and not being abused. And what really struck me was that it's kind of scary that you can live, next door to people and
Mhm.
not know anything about what's going on in their home. And it didn't make a lot of sense to me that none of them knew anything and didn't think it was suspicious that 13 kids live in this house and they never see them come outside, and that they always have on, they dress in uniform. And once someone once, I think one of the neighbors said that they seen them before marching in a circle in the window before, and that didn't strike them as weird as at all. And that kind of was just very telling to me that people just, when it comes to domestic violence and any type of abuse or anything like that, people just would rather mind their business. And we talked about this on the last podcast, if that's something that people should really do, because you never know how getting yourself involved with that will affect your own safety and your own family safety. But also, are we the type of people that can watch something happen and not do anything about it? Like, are we really those people?
Well, Miss Janae, when you pose that question, we are. We are that type of society. We are that type of people. And to go further, we are that type of family because family members knew too, and they were, when I first delved into the story, they talked about family secrets. So we're going to divulge secrets now. So family knew. And people have in this society have this mindset, it's not my business. It's not affecting me. Or what do I gain telling? Or I could something could happen to me for telling or whatever. So yeah, we are that people. We are that society, and this is really happening. And it's almost like, well, not almost, it's disgusting because in our positions, in the positions that we work in as advocates, we're mandated to report, right? We're mandatory. I think as a neighbor, and I suspect something, I feel like there is a certain obligation to children and to a woman being abused to report and tell. But society today is so twisted and it's warped. It's just warped because I'm joining in with you and probably thousands of other people. How could you see things, the little telltale signs, and not say anything, not report, or not investigate or send someone to investigate? Because imagine if someone had said, I see things that look unusual or that looks abnormal. And just imagine if someone had even just stuck their nose in someone else's business, whether it came out to the good, the bad, or whatever. It would have created an investigation. It would have created probably a totally different outcome for those kids. So yeah.
Yeah, and I want to say, oh, I'm sorry, Bethel. I'm going to let you have a chance to speak before I come in again.
I was just gonna like briefly say like what to add on to what Beverly was saying, like a lot of like a good number of these children were grown adults, and like part of the reason why too, like their parents got charged as if they had killed somebody was because they literally like the children did not experience life, like they had no life, and just because they were breathing doesn't mean that they are living. And yeah, I wonder too if like even if like 5 years before, what kind of difference that would have made. And also I think like I read a little bit about how some of them are still struggling now, as even though they're not in the same situation. And I wonder if just like getting help a few years before would have been able to get would have been like been a way for them to get like easier help after, or like be able to adjust better after.
Yeah, and I wanted to say, on top of our societal culture of like mind your business, there's the systems that are set in place that are supposed to be there to help and notice these signs and everything that completely failed. Like when it comes to the foster care, um, not foster care, sorry, homeschool, the homeschool side of things, because what's his name? David Turpin, the father of the household, registered himself as the president of his own homeschool and had 8 students from grades like 2 to 11 or something registered in the school. Since it's more than 6 kids in a homeschool, there's supposed to be an annual fire marshal check um, every year, once a year, every year, to make sure that the space is safe enough and there's ways to get out in case of a fire, and like the children aren't going to die if something happens. um, there wasn't one in 7 years, not one. So that's supposed to be already one way that the system can be able to intervene when it comes to a homeschool household, like Janae was mentioning earlier. And now there's more attention on figuring out how, like, why aren't we paying attention to homeschoolers? But there are systems there. They're already failing. And then the oldest daughter went to school up until 3rd grade, public school. She was made fun of and teased constantly because they said that she wore the same clothes every single day and smelled really bad. Like, um, in her situation, there was like when they would be tied up in trapped in a cage or punished, like they weren't always allowed out to go to the restroom and relieve themselves. So they had to live in soiled clothing every single day, and she still went to school in those same clothes that were never cleaned. Like, how did the teachers not do anything about it? Like, how she was sent to the principal for signs of sexual abuse in her as a young child in, I think it was like 1st or 2nd grade, because she was touching her private areas a lot, and um like CPS was never called. Like, those are the things that, like, they're mandatory reporters too. Those are signs of child abuse. That is your job. Literally, you signed up for that job, and those systems still failed. Like, I think that is one of the most frustrating parts for me personally, because I can understand the, as I don't agree with it, but I can understand the way that, the general public were socialized into the mind your business, especially when it comes to the safety aspect of it. But when you're a teacher or a principal of a school, that is your job and you signed up for that. That's unexcusable to me. It's whatsoever. Like, I feel like there should be ways to hold them responsible as well, because they failed all 13 children without starting with Jennifer Turpin herself. Like that. Sorry, I'm worked up now, but like that, there are so many instances where the systems that are set in place to be able to protect children failed, and those are only two. Like, there were multiple instances.
Yeah, I just want to touch base on what you said and what you said, Skylar, and what you said, Bethel. I want to touch base on Bethel. You said that the older kids have been kept home their entire lives, and they were in adulthood pretty much. And it the way I think of it is like she kept her own children in solitary confinement, basically, their entire lives, and did that to pretty much all of her kids. And I do agree with you, Skylar. Like the fact that she was wearing the same clothes raised no red flag, hair dirty, all of those things. And no one called anyone, and no one tried to report this. And, kids become conditioned sometimes to the environment that they live in. So they thought that their norm was reality, and probably that some other kids like lived like this as well. What tripped me out was that the mom had like a hoarding problem with buying all this kid stuff, all this brand new kid stuff that she would never even let her kids have or play with, just stuff unopened. That is a different form of like torture to me, because it's like we're sitting here wearing the same clothes, we barely get new stuff, but mommy's buying all this stuff that we can't touch and that we can't use, and that is just going to be in front of our faces for what? And then the fact that she was not feeding her kids, and they're eating ketchup packets and mustard packets, and their daily meal was peanut butter on a piece of bread, while the older daughter is cooking for them, and they're going out to eat and like living their best lives. It's just, and they just continue to bring children into the world after that. And watching the watching the two daughters be in the interview and talk about the wedding day where they went to Vegas and pretty much faked their whole lives and had to go back home and just pretend that they're just this happy family. Like, I could tell that that really got to the oldest daughter. Like, I could tell that she is still not okay about that. Like, she's seen the picture of them in those pretty dresses and the mom and dad getting married, and she just started bawling. And I'm like, she's still not over that, because she was just like, in that moment, we're just here pretending that everything is okay when everything is not okay. And what was really um speaking of like the system failing the kids, because even from the beginning the system was failing the children, but even after, the system continued to fail the children, and still to this very moment nobody knows what happened to all that trust fund money that was given to them by the community. Nobody is trying to tell them what happened. They don't have any access to it. Even when they try to get access to it, they give them a hard time. The children were in foster homes continuously being abused, and they even stated that one of the foster homes that one of the kids was in said to them, "I see why your mom had you chained up." And it's just like, this kid was was put in your home to feel safe and to basically not relive trauma and try to start my entire life over with someone who has accepted me and and is going to care for me. But that's something that you say to them, say to a kid. It was just really messed up to hear, and just to think that they spent so much of their lives inside of this home that they missed out on so much life, and life is so different. She didn't even know her address, but she was very strategic in that moment of, I have to get my brothers and sisters some help. I have to get it tonight, and I have to be brave. She had a piece of mail with her, and she's reading all these numbers, and none of them are the address. She's standing on the side of a corner, because she didn't know that corners and sidewalks and streets are just two different things. She had to read, she was asked to read the signs. She didn't know how to read. And I'm just like, for her to be 17 and like underdeveloped, and they pretty much stumped growth of all of their children psychologically, physically, and created learning disabilities for them. And it's crazy, because you can hear how the oldest one talks and how the now 21-year-old talks, and you can tell that there's still those developmental issues there that are probably not going to go away for at least probably 7 to 10 more years, because she has more learning to do. She has to start from the bottom. They said the oldest kid had the IQ of a first grader. And that really broke my heart, because I just want to know. It just asks you raise those questions to yourself as like, why? Why did you guys do this? Why did you guys want to treat the kids like this? And what possessed you? Like, what was going through your mind? Like, what was your end goal? And if they would have hadn't gotten caught when they got caught, what would become of these kids? Like, would they still be living in this same situation till this day? And overall just really sad to see, because the family, from the faces that we could see, this is a beautiful family, and it's just like, you would just never know. You would just never know. And the scariest part about it is when the sheriffs were coming to the home to finally do that wellness check after the daughter called the police, they were taking a long time to open the door because they were unchaining the kids, but they forgot about one of them. And thank God they did in that moment, because even though the girl had pictures, it's better for the cop to see it, because then that warrants an actual arrest. You know what I mean? So I was happy that at least one kid was still in that position to at least show the cops, like, here it is, this is what she does. And I was very proud to see her be brave in that moment and to get it done. And when the cop was 15 minutes away, it was running my anxiety up. Like, I'm like, if he does not get to her, I'm about to jump to the screen. Like, what is about to happen? Does he find her in time? Do they get to the bottom of this? It was all just putting me through the ringer, because at the end of the day, like, as parents, how could you?
Michelle brought up the point. She messaged that she was, one of the sisters mentioned that she was worried that her nieces and nephews would repeat the violence that they endured. And Michelle said that statistically, like, that is a concern, a serious concern. So,
What I think about that, seeing the two girls, because we only got to really hear about two of the girls' stories, because I say it to my brothers and sisters all the time. We all three grew up in the same household, but we lived completely different lives. And there's certain things that we can't relate to. And that's what she said. All three of them went through different things and they lived different lives. But what I will say is that, just from the outside looking in and seeing the two girls, they stated that they want to have these big beautiful families and marry well and things like that. I would, I don't know, like, I would say that I put it past them in a way. Like, I feel like they wouldn't want to put what they've been through onto others. I don't know. I don't know, but they could do that in other ways that are not even like abuse towards children or abuse towards physical and mental abuse towards other people.
It does concern me, because like with those interviews, we only got to really listen to two of them, and then a little bit of a video diary. I think I can't remember if that was included in an ABC special, or I think so. Yeah, of the oldest son. But I was listening to the court trial, and one of the daughters had, I don't know which one, it was anonymous. One of them wrote a letter for her brother to read out to the court that was defending her parents through all of the mental manipulation, and just not being able to know the full picture because of like the position she was in. She really believed and justified that they loved their kids and that they did the best that they could for them, and they didn't know how to discipline, and how, they just thought they were doing what they thought was right, um, through the lens of God and their religion and these other things, um, and I don't know, that hearing that just really, it really concerned me for her, because I don't know what's going on, and like I don't think we'll ever know what really happens with all the 13 children. Um, but yeah, that I hope the best for their futures, and I hope that, especially with more media attention, that would potentially provide other systems of ways to provide for and to them, um, since the trust fund is up in the air, and like at this point, trusting the uh, like official systems that have been set in place, they failed so many times that maybe if the community actually garners together this time and pays attention and gives them the support that they need, then they can get into positions where they have a real ability and access to get to where they can, you know, be able to enjoy their lives and not have to think about struggling for food anymore, or if this foster parent is going to abuse me, or if like anybody has my back, you know.
It kind of, going back into the work that we all do, it kind of just is really scary to see that in all spectrums, the system just really doesn't work as it's supposed to, because we see it every day with our clients. Um, Even to get something like a protective order, it has to take all of this evidence and all this ongoing evidence. And it's just like, what more do you need to for me to get some protection from this person, or for this person to be even arrested or anything like that? And it's just it hurts to see that the system's one job when the kids were finally safe out of their parents' presence was to ensure safety. And it was like they couldn't even do that, and they're so underdeveloped that they don't even know how the world works. And I don't know if she was like the social worker or the caseworker was just telling the brother to Google it or like figure it out on your own. And I thought that that was really messed up, because it's like, if I don't know how to get access to these resources and you're the person that I'm supposed to be reaching out to, how am I supposed to how am I supposed to go about things when the only person that's supposed to help me is not helping me and telling me to Google it? And I rarely even know what that is or what that means when people say Google it. Because they pretty much said, the girl pretty much said that Justin Bieber is the reason why she knows certain words and how to feel certain things because of him. And that was just really crazy to me. And it's really sad to watch, because you just never know what people are going through. And you just got to be kind to people. You got to be kind.
Yeah, when she like mentioned Justin Bieber, it just like struck something in me because like I'm not the biggest like Justin Bieber fan or anything, but all the songs that she listed off saying they were her favorites, like those are really popular songs. I remember exactly what grade I was in when those songs were popular. And so hearing her say like, these are my favorite songs. I watched all his interviews, yada yada yada. It was like, wow, you really people like I had the privilege of listening to those songs like on my own and like when I wanted to or not, and I didn't have any negative memories associated with them, but like it was like kind of like survival for her as well as, like consuming something she enjoyed. Um and it just put things into perspective for me in terms of like age and like time.
I do want to bring up that that letter that her classmate wrote. Like, I want to know what you guys think about that, because I feel like he really came to terms with himself, because he was one of the people who contributed to isolating one of the daughters and never playing with her. And like, you know, I don't know if he said that he was one of the kids who was making fun of her, but he always knew that like she smelled, and that's why nobody wanted to really play with her. And in that letter, he pretty much said that he pretty much says that he's grateful for himself, for I mean, for the life that he lives and the life that his parents have provided for them, because it's just the same person that you're in class with sitting next to was going home and being chained up and starved and hasn't bathed in over a year. And that really struck me, because I feel like when you're close to a victim and you didn't see anything, or like nothing strikes you as odd, it really messes with you a little bit. Like, you get hard on yourself, and it's hard to, forgive yourself. So how can people go about um showing that empathy and sympathy for someone once they find out that they've been through something as horrid as what we've been watching lately?
I think like the simplest thing you can do is just provide any kind of support you can, whether that's financially, emotionally, um, if you're able to, just like anything that you're able to provide. Because obviously, just as somebody that, like, as a regular person, you're not obligated to do anything, but from the niceness of your heart and just like, I don't know, I feel like any good person that is able to would want to kind of make up for all of that time that they like completely like didn't realize, oh, something else must be happening. um yeah, that's just how I would think of it, and like helping them, I guess depending on the case, like helping them get justice if that's possible.
Something tells me another reason why the mom kept them in the house was so that she could continue her abuse, and that they didn't have to go off to school and like possibly try to explain those bruises on their wrists. And that's it. The whole plan was her plan was very like thought out, I feel like, because it went on for years, and she got away with this for years because she knew how to cover it up very well. Well, I'm not going to let my kids go anywhere, pretty much.
It seemed like the mom was the ringleader, you know. Um, didn't really say a lot about dad. He was part of it, obviously, and he was older than her. It just strikes a lot of questions, unanswered questions, like how can you abuse your own child? Not one form, but many forms of abuse, neglect, um, and I think what excuse me, at the end of one of the stories that I read, one of the news reports where the six older children were actually in a like a therapy setting. They were able to stay in, I forget the name of it, but when they were released to leave after 2 months, they told the staff that they loved them and that they would miss them. And so you look at that and you wonder, I wondered, you know, they were still able to say, I love someone after all that they went through. And that was a statement made by the staff too. Everything that they went through, they could say, I love you. But so I don't know. In my mind, there's so many questions about for those uh, kids, the 13, and how a mother could do this to her kids and then keep having babies to abuse. It's like such a sick and demented mind. And I don't know. I guess I agree with you, Bethel. Like reaching out financially, but then I draw back and think about where's the money that was put to them. So, do you want to, like my mind is let's gather people and let's just get people to help them monetarily, financially, or whatever. But then you stop and you think, look, someone did that. A community did it, and they don't have access to this money. So, how else can you help them? What else can you do but show love? And like Janae said, you never know what people are going through. You think about children. Children are, number one, the most honest creatures on earth. But number two, they can be the meanest with their honesty, not knowing what is going on. But the thing is, you be kind to everyone because you never know. You never know who you're sitting next to and what they're going through. So yeah, I like that, and that is a model. Just be kind to people because you never ever know. You just don't know what a person is going through or what they've gone through. So I think the best thing that you can give a person is kindness at that point, and support, mentally, emotionally, if you can. Gosh, I can't even, when I started reading and started watching, there were so many triggers. And for me, it's just so surreal. It's unbelievable that people can be that cruel and then deny it. I don't know.
I wanted to say, because I know we have to wrap up soon, but one monetary way that is uh, available to like help provide for them. I don't know how it could be organized for all 13 children, but I think of like ways to directly provide. And Jordan Turpin, at least the one who was 17 at the time, and she was the one who escaped with the phone and contacted the police. She is on social media. She has a TikTok. If you watch her TikToks, that can help boost her and provide more income. If she, I believe she hasn't, yeah, she has enough followers to be able to get a revenue from TikTok. So I hope that is what she's doing. Um, and if she ever goes live, I don't know if she does, but like there's ways to donate to the creator on lives. And I also watched her interview with her sister on Good Morning America that was just talking about reacting to the ABC 2020 special. Um, and she said she wants to be a motivational speaker. So like paying to attend her speeches, and you know there with that's one way that she can open up even more, and like open up her platforms and ways to provide on social media that would go more directly to her rather than to a system that's set in place that's supposed to like monitor it for them because they're not in a place to handle it or whatever. I think that what should have done was to be support given to like teach them how to be able to handle it and have access with it. But that's we can't change what has happened, but we can try and make sure that the ways that we are providing are direct services rather than through a middleman. Yeah,
I
that's all I
completely agree. Well, we want to thank you guys for tuning in to Confabulation. Our Sister's House is a domestic violence agency. And if you or anyone you know is experiencing domestic violence, please contact our Sister's House at 253-383-4275 or visit our website at oursistershouse.com. We also have our All Eye events starting off this evening with trivia, and tomorrow there will be photos with Black Santa at the office. Please check out our Facebook event or social media post to register as soon as possible. There's still time. We are doing 2 weekends of events.